As a mother of three boys, actress and best-selling author Priscilla Shirer shares why her latest endeavor is especially important.
Lord, outside of meat and their great dad and grandfather and uncles that they had, would you also send coaches, professors, people that own the company that they maybe work for the summer? Would you send some people who are successful in their craft, but also have an eye out for young men that need to be discipled and encouraged?
And this is CIA, Contagious Influencers of America. I'm David Sams. That's right, today we have somebody really special with us, and that's Priscilla Shirer. She, of course, is an actress known for her roles in War Room, I Can Only Imagine, and Overcomer. And she's also a New York Times best-selling author and founder of Going Beyond Ministries, which is why thousands of women flock to her conferences and dive into her Bible studies each and every year. Now, starting August the 23rd, you can see her in her new movie all across America. It's a new movie by the Kendrick Brothers, and it's called The Forge. Now, Priscilla portrays a single mom who prays over her young adult son, Isaiah, to become the man she knows he can be. And through her mom's encouragement and unexpected guidance from a new mentor, Isaiah is forced to deal with his past, sacrifice selfishness, and discover his God-given purpose. It's another great film from our friends, the Kendrick Brothers, and this takes place in the same cinematic world as War Room, which was, of course, a big hit in 2015. So I know you're going to love this movie. I did. I've seen it. I was actually on the set. I got invited on the set. So this is going to be a lot of fun, and it's for the entire family. So I'm going to have Priscilla here in just a minute, but first...
From the Kendrick Brothers, the creators of War Room.
Miss Clara! It's hard for a woman to call out the man and her son. I just need some prayer support.
We pray that the Lord will open Isaiah's eyes so that he could see himself the way that the Lord sees him.
What kind of man do you want to be? Isaiah, welcome to The Forge.
The Forge, in theaters August 23rd. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Tickets and showtimes at theforgemovie.com.
Hey, Priscilla, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Good to see you again.
You too.
I just gotta ask you. It's been I guess we were on the set of The Forge. Was that last August or something?
Yes, it was. It was June and July and August. Yeah.
Yeah. And you took these crazy pictures with us in the beauty salon. And I still haven't seen the picture.
Uh-oh.
Oh, but I don't know whose hair is a little wilder now. Mine or yours.
Who knows? But we're big hair people apparently.
That's right. It's right. So how you been?
Been doing really good this year. How about you?
Been doing good. And hey, okay. You know what? It's a great year and a great year ahead, and we're really looking forward to this movie. We always look forward to the Kendrick Brothers movies. It's
totally.
I love the fact that they put so much thought and prayer into their movies. They don't rush these things out. It's
I don't.
It's part of the way that's I guess it's part of the formula that if I may use that word that they have. They just don't follow everybody else and think, wow, we got to get one of these out every 6 months or every year. So why do you love to be a part of their productions?
Well, gosh, there are many reasons, but I'll tell you, one of the primary reasons is because of the Kendrick Brothers themselves. At this point, we've known them for about 15 years. And Alex, Stephen, and Shannon Kendrick, so it's three brothers. These men are serious about ministry, like they're filmmakers. But they have no interest in just being famous. This is not like a stepping stone on their way to do something bigger and better. This is their calling. They are preachers disguised as filmmakers. And what I know is that they are not going to sugarcoat the gospel. They're not going to water down biblical principles. Whatever storyline the Lord entrusts to them, it's only designed to be an incubator for some principle that they want every viewer to walk away with that principle. And they're just trying to package it in a way that they can be the best steward of it. So most of the time, the reason why I love being connected with them in ministry is because I know they have character and integrity and that they really have the same mission we have. And God has just given them a different avenue to do it. So it just feels like a privilege and a gift that I get to be a part of them telling these stories and doing it in a way where it'll reach an entirely different group of people that may never pick up a book that I've written, may never come to a conference I'm speaking at, or they may never darken the doors of a church, but they will go to a movie theater. And when they see it, they are getting the same principles and insight as they would if they were coming into a church-like setting. And I love that there's that opportunity there.
Describe for our viewers what it's like to be on one of their sets. It's very unique.
It's very unique. And the reason I know it's unique is because most of the people who are on their sets, they are in the film industry. This is what they do. There were people that were filming The Forge, cameramen, lighting operators. They had just come off of the last Marvel movie set. That's what they were coming from, Spider-Man and then The Forge. So this is what they do all the time. So the uniqueness of the set, I know only because these people that do this all the time are telling me how incredibly different this is. To me, I thought this was normal, that the cast and crew get together for devotions in the morning. I thought this is what always happens on film sets, because the Kendrick Brothers gather all 100 people together every single morning, let's say at 6:30 or 7 a.m. before we get to filming. And they're going to make sure there is an opportunity for everybody to give the day to the Lord and to ask God's Spirit to be present in all of the unique nuances of all that we're doing. And then not just that, but then what everybody disperses. And again, the 3 or 4 or 5 people you see on the screen is just a little drop in the bucket of the 100 people that are on the other side of the camera who are doing the more important jobs that are necessary for one scene to even look like it needs to look to be on a screen. It takes all 100 of those people. And throughout the day, if we're filming a scene that Alex or Stephen really see that scene resonates with such sacred poignancy, that this one scene could be the one where a movie viewer actually comes to realize they need Jesus, or that they've never accepted the Lord, they've just been in church all their life, or maybe it's a believer that is now being beckoned into a deeper, more fulfilling walk with the Lord. If they realize this is one of those scenes that is shimmering with that sort of possibility, they pause the entire filming process and they call everybody down from their ladders and behind cameras and out of trailers, and they say, y'all, let's stop right here at 1 o'clock in the middle of the day, and let's ask God to anoint this process and this particular scene. And so the fact that they prioritize prayer in that way really does not only invite the Lord's presence into the entire process, but it really does recalibrate everybody's frame of reference. We're all team players. We're all working together. We're all supporting one another in all of our unique aspects of making the film, because we recognize it's not for any of us to be stars. It's because we're all here for the same purpose of making His name great.
You bring up prayer. What role does prayer play in your life, and how is it portrayed, and how unique is the power of prayer in this film?
Well, in my own life, one of the ways I have seen prayer most, there's been many ways, but one of the ways I've seen it most marking me is that my grandmother, who's now in heaven, my mom's mom, she used to write down her prayers. Now, this is way before War Room, way before it kind of became a thing to write down your prayers because of the success of that film that so beautifully pointed so many of us in the direction of strategy and intentionality in our prayer lives. Grandma would write down a little spiral notebook, 99 cents from the grocery store. She'd at least write down the names of people she was praying for, the requests she had for them. Then when those prayers were answered, she'd put a date in the margin of how she is seeing the Lord move. Well, now she's not here, but we have a record of her prayer life. And now I can look in that, see her grandchildren's names written down, her great-grandchildren's names, and then one she was praying for she hadn't even met yet. And now I can see the fruit of her prayers, that she ain't even here. And we're underneath the blessing of a woman who was intentional in her prayer life toward us. So that's so meaningful to me. It encourages me that one day I will hopefully have grandchildren and great-grandchildren, some of whom I may never lay eyes on. But if I'm consistent in prayer, hopefully they will be the beneficiaries also, as I have been that with my grandmother. So personally for me, that legacy of prayer has marked me about how important it is. And then in the film, you see that similarly. I play a single mother who's doing her best to mother a man child. He's coming into his 20s, and she's really seeing he's floundering quite a bit when it comes to responsibility, showing up, having character, just manning up in his life. So she's asking God to send some other men, grown men, who can challenge him and encourage him. And I got to tell you, that's what really drew me to this film, because that's what I pray for. I'm a mother of 3 boys. That's what I pray for my boys. Lord, outside of me and their great dad and grandfather and uncles that they had, would you also send coaches, professors, people that own the company that they maybe work for the summer? Would you send some people who are successful in their craft, but also have an eye out for young men that need to be discipled and encouraged? So you see the Lord answer that in the life of Cynthia, the woman that I play in this movie. But it was encouraging to me to see that worked out on film, because that's exactly what I pray now, and how grateful I am when I see a coach show up in my son who's a football player or the basketball player, and I can tell they care more about my son's character than they do his athletic ability. Oh man, that's the kind of coach I want in my kid's life.
So the theme of this movie is all about the discipleship. For those who are unfamiliar with that term, what is it? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, discipleship, it's like a two-pronged, or 2 sides of the same coin. Jesus gave the definition of what being a disciple is in Luke chapter 9. He said, if anyone is going to be my disciple, he or she must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. This is discipleship. It means that we are prioritizing our relationship with him. We are following him as the primary goal of our life, that our goal is Christ-likeness, that we want to exhibit his character, the mind of Christ in every area of our life. I love that it's a comprehensive statement. It's not just a church thing, a once-a-week thing, a religious thing, a sacred part of our life thing. But for the disciple, everything is sacred. My Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, my entertainment choices, my relationship dynamics, how I govern my marriage, my finances, my politics, all of it is me lining all that underneath the authority of Jesus Christ and not letting anything else take preeminence over and above him setting the agenda for my life. So that's what discipleship is on one side of the coin. Then the other side of the coin is making disciples. That as we are surrendered to Christ, our eyes should always be open for the people he's entrusting to us that need that iron sharpening iron. They need someone to walk alongside of them to help them to realize, how do I outwork what I'm reading in the scripture in the practical rhythms of my everyday life? A single woman needs another single woman to say, here's how you walk in purity when you're in the dating culture. A mother of small children needs a woman who's already raised her kids to encourage her and say, here's how you can help to steward these young lives. A father of small children needs a man that's maybe in his grandfather years to come alongside of him, walk with him and say, let me show you how. The new entrepreneur needs someone who's successful in business to say, let me show you how to build your business on the solid foundation of biblical principles and to have integrity while you're doing it, so that you're not just successful in the marketplace, but you also are garnering the favor of God because you're doing it his way. We need each other, and discipleship is what makes success happen in our lives in all areas when we're walking along some other people who can advise us on how to live well.
I know the central character of this movie is, of course, the gentleman that plays your son, obviously a male. But this movie and the message of the movie is just not for men. It's also for young women, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about you growing up and you going through this process and you know, who helped you through it and really what all that meant to you.
You know, David, isn't it interesting that sometimes it's not until hindsight that you look back and go, oh my gosh, the Lord was intersecting me with people who I didn't recognize at the time. Them taking a moment to disciple me shaped the entire course of my life. So I think back, like you said, to when I was a teenager. I mean, I could give you several examples, but when I was a teenager, there was one woman in our church, 26 years old. So I'm 16. She's 10 years my senior, which, you know, when you're 16 and a 26-year-old pays attention to you, that matters. Because to you, she's like, wow, the woman, you know? And here she was, single, successful, beautiful, feminine, love of the Lord, but had a very successful career at the same time. And man, she just whisked me away from church on some Sunday, take me out for lunch, ask my mom and dad, could she have me, take me to her apartment. We'd go to the Fort Worth Water Gardens or to the mall or to have lunch together. And so it wasn't a Bible study, but it was her taking time to let her life rub off on my life, to let me see what it would be like to live as a 20-something who wanted to honor God in her finances, in the way she governed her dating relationships, in her involvement in the local church. That was so impactful to me, and not the least of which is that when someone in another season of life pays attention to a younger person, the value that places on that other individual, oh my goodness, it's monumental in the shaping of their security and their sense of self as they grow into adulthood. And I could give you many more examples like that of women who just use their area of expertise. They didn't feel like now they had to be a Bible study teacher before they could impact me. They just invited me into their world and let me be a part of it. And I was discipled. It was like discipleship time disguised as girl time. But I look back on it now and I realize what they were doing. In the moment, I just thought that 26-year-old girl, like we were just buddies. No, that was her intentionally saying, let me impact this young woman's life. And I'm so grateful that she did. And that others like her did, because it shaped me and marked me and set me on a trajectory that I didn't even know the Lord had plans for my life.
So for someone watching this right now who thinks that they may have that gift, but maybe they don't have the credentials, you know, quote unquote, maybe they're not a Bible teacher, maybe they didn't go to seminary, but they feel that they have that calling, but they just don't have that thing to step up. Speak to them, and the importance is for them to recognize the gift that they have and the impact that they can have in someone's life.
Well, the thing is, every single one of us who have placed faith in Jesus Christ, we are all called to ministry. Yes, some of us are in vocational ministry, but vocational ministry is not the goal. Every single one of us have been placed in areas of industry or arenas of influence or different neighborhoods or whatever. The sphere that is around us, we're uniquely all placed there to minister. So what you see in this movie, the main disciple maker in this movie is not a man who is a pastor. He's not in vocational ministry. He never went to seminary. He's just a guy who is a successful businessman. So he's in the marketplace. I love that the Kendrick Brothers wrote it this way. It's a man who is in the marketplace, but as he goes about doing his job with excellence and building his business in a respectable way that has garnered the attention and the income, like he's a great businessman. But you find out as the film goes on, his eyes are always open to see, in particular, and you find out why in the movie, young men who the Lord brings into his sphere, that he is supposed to be doing more in their life than just giving them a paycheck because they work for him. That's the mindset that there should be for all of us. Lord, I'm on the PTA. Yes, we're here to help with the school system. But while I'm here, would you open up my eyes to see another young mother that I might meet, or another woman that's here that is young in her faith, or another person that's here that I'm a teacher? Maybe she's just brand new to teaching and she needs someone to show her what it means to be a seasoned teacher in this second grade classroom, but also to know what it's like to be a woman of integrity who doesn't compromise on her standards just because she works in this kind of a school district or whatever the rules and regulations might be there. So every environment that we're in, we should not just be there to pursue excellence in that field, but also as Christians, we should always be praying, Lord, will you keep my eyes open to see who you're bringing into my sphere of influence today, that you are going to equip me, not because I went to seminary, but because of my past experiences, because of my journey with you, because of the way I've seen you offer me grace and restoration. Now I want to make sure that they know you'll offer the same to them. Help me to be able to just walk with them through their lives and give them an opportunity to see what it's like to live on purpose and for your namesake right here in this industry.
You know, in watching this movie, and I've seen it a couple of times, the thing that I really recognize with this particular Kendrick Brothers movie is that it has a much wider appeal than just the choir, than just the church crowd. Because
Agreed.
I think a lot of folks will recognize the value that this film brings. You may not call it discipleship, you may call it mentorship. So let's speak into that a little bit, because I want to encourage folks who think, "Oh my gosh, I've seen how many Christian movies this year have come out." You know, I think we're on a record here. We have a record year.
Yes.
But what makes this particular film so very special?
Well, I think, like you just mentioned, because it's very practical, I think that everybody will be able to see themselves, whether it's in the single mother. So many people, single fathers and mothers, are in this position where they are raising a child, in this instance, of the opposite sex, and they're realizing there are some gaps they cannot fill in. Simply, it doesn't matter how great of a mother I am. I cannot call out the man in my son, or I can't hand him his man card. There has to be another brother who's going to hand him his man card and call him into manhood. And so I think single parents are going to be able to recognize themselves. I think young men and women are going to see themselves in this young man who's the central character. I think business owners are maybe going to be shaken awake out of their spiritual slumber and realize, wait a minute, my whole business is a ministry opportunity. Or the person that works in the marketplace or in a secular setting who maybe have thought that, man, this cubicle is not giving me opportunity to minister to people like my heart desires to. And I think they'll walk out of the theater and kind of be like, wait a minute, I never realized that office actually is the opportunity that God has entrusted to me in this season. So I think people will come out with some real practical challenges that will cause them to look at their life just a little bit differently, and their way they're going about impacting and intersecting with the people who are in their sphere of influence.
Well, Priscilla, thank you so much. It's been great catching up with you, and I wish you much success with this film, and we love you, and just keep the faith.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks again, Priscilla. So glad we could catch up once again. The movie's called The Forge. It's in theaters on August 23rd. Head on over to theforgemovie.com to see showtimes and purchase your tickets. And I'm telling you, take a friend, take your neighbors, definitely take your family. This is a good film. I personally loved it, and I know you will too. This has been CIA, Contagious Influencers of America, from the producers of the #1 syndicated faith-based show in all of America, Keep the Faith. Check out our website at KeepTheFaith.com, where you're going to find all kinds of goodies. And of course, our podcast website is at contagiousInfluencers.com. Please do rate and review us. We could really use your help. This is how people find out about us. So I really would encourage you to spread the word. I really, really would appreciate that. Until next time, I'm David Sams. Go out there this week and live that life in living color, because it sure is a heck of a lot more interesting than living in black and white. See you next time.